Hello, welcome to APA Format and You, brought to you by the Department of Health Studies. So the first thing you want to do before you get started is to get this book. This is the 6th edition of the publication manual of the American Psychological Association. The reason I mention this is because it's different than the 5th edition. It has some different things in it that you'll need to know. What today's presentation will do for you is just give you a brief overview of the APA format. It will address some, but not all, of the most common APA issues. We'll show you how to cite your sources, create a reference page, do in-text citation, under 40 words, over 40 words, things like that. What will it not do for you? It will not teach you everything you could possibly know about using APA format. Even I still learn things, believe it or not. You must read through the manual. We especially need to pay attention to chapters 6 and 7 as they're most relevant to what you'll be doing, at least for health studies. What is APA format? It's a writing style developed by the American Psychological Association. It shows you how to properly cite your sources, to make a reference page listing these sources, to organize formal papers and research documents. It gives you the overall layout. It shows you different levels of titles, subtitles, subheadings, where to put tables and graphs, how to do them, how to reference them. It tells you all kinds of things. It does also help you protect you against plagiarism. Now, plagiarism is using another person's work without giving them proper credit. It could be a person or an organization, a group of authors, whoever. When you cite your sources, you tell your reader where you got the information and you acknowledge the work of the person that you're using. If you do not cite your sources, you're plagiarizing. Okay? Not only does health studies use APA, but so does other TW departments, and many of your health-related journals that you'll hopefully be publishing in one day also use this type of formatting. APA-isms. This is just a little tickle your brain thing to try and get you to think about what does it mean when the manual says. If it says periodical, think journal. Non-periodical, think book. Electronic source, internet. Symposium could mean conference. Things like this. Don't get too hung up. You'll be able to tell if you look at the reference that they're using as an example, typically what they're referring to. So how do you cite? I generally use one of two ways. You can do it at the start of the sentence, or at the end, or within. So I guess that's really three ways, but when you start the sentence with a citation, you do the author year as part of the narrative. This is called in-text formatting. You see the example says Jason, parentheses 2002, found that 25% of. Jason is the author in this example. For number 2, for end or within a sentence using parentheses, it's author and year. This is called parenthetical formatting. You can do it one of two ways. You can do it at the end, as you see in example 1, Cottrell, Gervin, and McKenzie, and yes, the and sign is the correct sign. Or you can do it in the middle. The painting was assumed to be by Matisse by Powell, but later analyzed to be show forgery by Murphy. So that's two different ways. Not one way is preferred over the other, but try not to use both at the same time. Also, you must follow the basic citation style shown on page 177 of your manual. Why do I highlight this? Because it really shows you how to do it. When it's so many authors, a work by one author, 5 authors, 6 authors or more, there's a specific way to do it. Or if, let's say that your author is an institution, like the National Institutes of Mental Health, as you see an example here. And then how to do it subsequently as the next citation. If you'll notice, for like the National Institute of Mental Health, NIMH, you first put that in brackets within the parentheses if that's how you use it the first time. Then it becomes NIMH for the rest of the time you use it in citation in the text. Have I confused you yet? I hope not. Use at all with 3 or more authors after the first notation. Okay? For works by 6 or more authors, it's always at all, except for in your reference page. And we'll get to that in a little bit. So remember, Table 6.1 on page 177 is a great reference page. Okay, so what if the organization is the author or your source? Well, then they are the author. Most of them can be abbreviated, but the first time you cite the organization, as I was saying before, right here the example is Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, uses CDC. Notice how it's in brackets first. Then the next citation where you use it is just CDC in parentheses. Okay, it's no more complicated than that until you get to this, which is what if you have several of the same documents from the same author with the same publication date. This does happen often with the organizations especially. Let's say that you're looking at the CDC site and found a number of different information on, as this example shows, HIV and AIDS, okay? But they're two different documents, okay? How do we differentiate? We use the letters A, B, C, D, how many ever you have for that year, for that organization, if it's the same year only. So let me stress that, only if it's the same year. Meaning, if you go on the web page and at the bottom it should tell you when it was last updated, 2009 in this case, two different documents or two different places within the CDC and the place you're looking, then you want to use A and B. And you use it in the order of how it appears in your text, not necessarily alphabetically by title. Okay, so not alphabetically by title, but in order as it appears in your text. It will be alphabetically by author, which means it will still be under C in your reference list, but not necessarily by title. Look at page 178 in your manual, and that'll help you as well. Okay, so when you use direct quotes, generally what we try to say is avoiding using direct quotes as much as you can. It's best to summarize or paraphrase in your own words to show that you comprehend what you're writing about. However, when you do quote, always include the page or paragraph number in your citation. If you look here again, I've highlighted pages 170 through 174. When you use online sources, sometimes they won't have page numbers. In this case, you count the paragraphs from the beginning of the document and cite the paragraph number. Quotes of 40 or more words should be displayed in a freestanding block of text without quotation marks. So 40 and under is quotation marks. 40 and over should be in block quotes. And here I'll show you some examples. Okay, so this is less than 40 words using direct quotes. Did it a different number of ways just so you get an idea. I'm not going to read each one to you. I don't want to insult you, but the first one, we start with the author and the year. So it's authors actually because it's Crum et al. And then the direct quote starts with excessive drinking. End quote, then the page number in the parentheses, and then the period. The period does not go inside the quotation mark in this case, or in the case of any of these, because it's not the end. Another example is below, and that would be using not the author in the beginning, but the author at the end. So it's author, year, page number, or author, year, paragraph number, as is the example number 3. Now that's the National Cancer Institute. You see the brackets for NCI because we're probably going to see that again in this paper, para 2. That's exactly how you write it, P-A-R-A period 2. Okay? Then we have one more where we've used it kind of in a different kind of mix-up, where we start out with using our own words. We note the author at first and the year. Then we do a direct quoting. We reference the page number, and we keep writing. Okay? So these are 4 different ways that you could do it. Now what's next? This is more than 40 words. This is on page 171 of your manual. I don't recommend this unless you have something so stellar you want to say that you can't sum it up in your own words. This is kind of like filler when we're looking at that as your instructors. We don't want to see generally more than 10% of your paper be direct quotes anyway. So this would take up a large amount of your direct quoting. However, if you feel necessary, then this is how you do it. It's like you tab in another 5 spaces or another like indent for paragraph, and it's all blocked like that. Still flush right, but you bring it in to the left, just like as if you were beginning a paragraph, but it's all along that same line. Okay? Still, Always give credit to the author, year, and page number. The only thing different is you block text it and you don't use quotation marks.